which means I'm gonna hate my life. Hello and welcome to my channel, Haylee Marie Vintage. Today I'm going to be showing you a sewing supply haul. This is more high end of a sewing supply haul for me. Usually I buy most of my fabrics at the thrift shops and at my local reuse center, but with COVID those have all been closed, so I've had to figure out how to source elsewhere. So these are a lot of purchases from Etsy, and I also, as usual, have my very large pattern haul. I'm out of control, but hopefully these are some of the last ones because they were things that I was looking for. So let's get started here. I'm gonna start with the patterns. So this first set of patterns, I'm kind of gonna do them by sets. This first set of pattern is 1950s, like traditional, like wide dress patterns. I thought all of these were really beautiful, so I picked them up. This one's a little jumper. It looks kind of like an overall. I love it. I'm very excited. So I picked these guys up. These were not anything new or anything that I needed or wanted to add to my collection. They were just stuff I saw while browsing for things I was looking for my collection. And so I ended up picking these guys up. We now are moving into a second set of patterns. So these are like folk, or like, I don't know really what centennial is, but there's all these like patterns from the 1950s that are centennial related. From what I can tell, centennial pattern seems to mean like folk pattern or prairie patterns, and I love the like 1950s square dance prairie patterns, so it's a really easy way for me to find those types of patterns. So this is a cute little folksy one. And then we've got this one, which I will not be, well, I would say I will not be making the bonnet that goes with it, but I cannot 100% confirm that. However, I thought this was really pretty. However, this uses like, I think it's 7 yards of fabric for the shorter dress, so it uses an insane amount of fabric. So I'm gonna have to decide what type of fabric I want to spend all that money on. So this one I'll probably make out of a cheaper gingham, or I can hope that I find 7 yards of fabric at Seattle Recreative, but that is not highly likely, so most likely I'll have to buy this from a fabric store, so it'll probably be a Joann's fabric to kind of keep the cost down. But I think it's super cute and I'm very excited to make it. It'll be such a fun swing dancing dress. Next up, this is just a special pattern. Hopefully you can see that. I didn't want to unwrap it from its plastic until I use it. But this is a cape pattern. I really like capes or cloaks, whatever you want to call it. And I had been looking for a pattern exactly like this. This was a really expensive pattern. I want to say it was like $25 or $30, which, as you know, if you shop for patterns regularly, that's pretty pricey. But I was willing to spend it because if I can make my own like cloaks, that'll actually save me a bunch of money, or it'll make it so I can make them exactly the way I want it. Because like I really envision like these like a beautiful light blue one with a beautiful pink lining, and so this will allow me to be able to do those things. So I'm really excited, but I don't imagine I'll be cracking this one out anytime soon. Next set of patterns, let me see. Oh no, I'm sorry, envelope. So these are all vintage tops. These are all 1950s and 40s top patterns. So we have like just some variety here. I like making blouses. Blouses are a good way to use if I find a couple yards of a fabric that I really love, and it lets me get better use out of my ginormous skirt collection. So those will be fun to make. And I also like blouses because blouses are almost like a one to like a half day to full day process for me, except for if they're like the button ups with the super complicated collars. But otherwise they're a really fast project and really fast sew, so they're good for the days that I want to sew, but I don't want to devote the next week to a project. I think this is last. Yep. Last up are some 1940s like wartime patterns. I was looking for these specifically for, I would like to have some dress patterns that don't require 4+ yards of fabric. So all of these dress patterns require somewhere between 3 and 4 yards, and some of them even less than 3 yards of fabric. And I looked specifically in the 1940s because of wartime rations. They obviously had less fabric to work with, so the patterns reflected that. So I picked up a bunch of these. I'm sure none of them will be very easy to use. This is going to be a mail order, which means I'm going to hate my life, but it's so cute that it'll be worth it. And then we just have these couple patterns here. So that is it for the patterns. We'll jump into notions. We got noise. Okay, so these are some really beautiful 1940s plastic buttons. I really like using buttons authentic to the time period of the clothing in, so I bought all of these buttons knowing that these are colors that I like and I will use in sewing. So that's what these guys are here, and they'll be super fun to work with, and I'm very excited to put them on some beautiful dresses and blouses, hopefully. Next up, I bought these with the buttons just because I like to buy the older notions. I just find that they're a little sturdier and actually, weirdly enough, more rust proof sometimes. So I just picked up, it's a pretty thick bag of these black and silver hook closures. And I use these a ton, especially since I'm not the best at sewing. Any of you who know that and like sew really well, you never have to attach a hook and eye where there should not be a hook and eye. However, I'm not a fantastic sewer, so sometimes when I make things wrong, I have to kind of rig them to close and hold right. And so I use hook and eyes a ton for that. Last up, I got a miscellaneous lace. Yes, this is lace. I don't know why I forgot the term lace for a second, but I did. I got this actually for a few of the pieces in it, but I'm sure I will over time use all of them. These are older pieces of lace, but I bought them for some of my projects. So like, I really love this lace for like a neckline of something at some point. And it would obviously just be in the front and be kind of rigged, but this on a boat neck would be so, so cute. And then I have a couple of these like smaller floral appliques. Recently while looking on, I think Etsy, I found a really beautiful 1950s dress that had almost, it looked like a lace applique stem and flower growing from it. So I'm looking to do the same thing here. And it was like a fake button up. It had the side zip, but it had buttons intertwined with the flower in a really beautiful way. So I'm looking to replicate that myself because the dress was way too expensive for me. So instead, I'm hoping to make it myself and also make something that really fits me because I think the dress was also too large. So I have a bunch of different appliques to work with when I do this, and that is why I picked up this bundle, is because there was a huge variety. So I will be doing that sometime in the future. That'll be really different. I'm hoping to get slightly more complex with the garments I make now. I'm getting good enough that I can move fairly quickly. So it'd be really nice to take the time to add extra lace and things like that. Even though it takes more time, I think it is what makes the garments like feel more detailed and beautiful and more vintage-like. So I'm hoping to take the time to do those soon. My last thing here is some fabric. I picked up a bunch of really beautiful fabric, so I'll start kind of rolling through it. This I mainly got to get my thing totaled to $35, not pay for shipping, because it was weirdly way cheaper to do it that way. So this is just a light pink, really thin cotton. I'll probably use it for a shirt, and it'll be really cute. It's not quite the best color on me, but I kind of think that's overrated. If my skin tone looks a little weird, it looks a little weird, and that's fine. Next up was the order I ordered this for. This is almost 5 yards of this really beautiful green. It feels like a linen. I suspect it's not a linen, but it could be a linen. No idea, but I think it's so cute, and I'm so excited to make a really beautiful dress with this. Next up, I was feeling very inspired by all the 1940s patterns I bought. A lot of 1940s patterns have really interesting things they do with stripes, so I bought this 1940s striped fabric. I think this will make the cutest black and white dress. I'm trying to decide if I want it to be a summer or winter dress. Not sure yet, but I think this is so beautiful, and I'll be really excited to use it for something like that. This one, I am still on the fence about what I'm using it for. This is 3 yards of, I believe this is a 1940s pattern. I really love the neon. I'll hold it up a little closer and hopefully it will focus. But I thought the pattern on this was so beautiful with the berries and the cherries and things, and I loved how it was neon because I'm not really a red person, and most berry patterns and fabrics come in red, so I was excited to find a genuine 1940s piece not in red. And so this could be a skirt, a blouse, or a dress. We will see, but I'm really excited to use it regardless. Next up, this is just a 1950s, I think, cotton. This is, again, kind of berry-ish. It's really pretty, and I like that it's black and white and pink. I always love that color combo. I think it's really beautiful, and I have 4 yards of this, so I'll probably make a like standard dress with it. Hopefully with a full skirt, all that jazz. It is a little bit sheer, so I'll have to either make a slip to go with it or I'll have to line it. I will have to figure that out. I think this is so pretty, and I'm excited to use it in a project. Next one is from the same vendor. It's really cool because it actually came with its like official, oh, I was holding that upside down. It came with its official taggy thing that came with it. 4 yards for $2.98. Can you imagine? If you're buying 4 yards for $2.98 nowadays, who knows ethically what is happening behind the scenes there. This was so cool. I love it. Again, this is, can you notice a theme? I love berries. What can I say? And I love the anomaly in this of the pink berry with all the blueberries. So now I have a ton of berry prints that aren't red and need to slow my roll on those. This is my last fabric. This is an upholstery fabric. I'm still going to use it for some sort of dress. I think I'm going to use it for a dress where The neckline and stuff is made different, so like I can make this into the neckline and I can make it into like the top part of the skirt, but then I could have a normal cotton. I'm okay with using upholstery fabrics for dress. I do it all the time, and I actually think it makes like a really nice warm dress for living in a cooler climate. I only have 3 yards of this too, so it would pair really well with like a light blue, and so I could really make a dress that looks really neat with this. And it has just cute little roses. I think this is really lovely. We'll see. I'll also see if I wash it. A lot of times when you wash upholstery fabric, it loses some of that like crunchiness. Last, I have all feed sacks. This was a full complete feed sack. It's still sewn up and everything, and I believe it was little bits of the original seed feed was left in this. However, seed feed can also look like moth casings, and I don't take risks. I don't think the vendor sent me something with moth casings, because obviously that would destroy the whole vendor's collection. Just a trick, if you ever get something that you are a little bit worried about moth casings, go ahead and throw it in the freezer for a week. That'll kill whatever happens, whatever happens. That'll kill the moth babies. So I did that with this just in case. It's not damaging to the materials, and it never hurts to be too careful. And that one was just like some weird abstract 40s pattern that I thought was super funky and cool. This is another feed sack. I don't know if you can see, but it's a little lady and her gentleman strolling, and then there's like umbrellas and horse carriages all over. I thought this was beautiful. There's quite a bit of age staining that I'm gonna see if I can get out of this one. It was pretty enough, and if you cut your patterns artfully enough, you can do it around the feed sack, whatever it's called. You can put it around that and it'll be just fine. So I'm gonna try to clean this up the best I can, but no worries if I can't. And then I have this one here. This is like a little village scene. This is also a feed sack. I just thought it was really cute. What I'm gonna do with these feed sacks, obviously there's not enough to make a garment, but what you can do is you can make the bodice out of something like a feed sack, and then you can make this skirt out of something that pairs well with a feed sack, and then you can just make a belt that ties the whole thing together. So that is my plan with all of these feed sacks, is to make really full skirted 50s dresses where the bodices are made of these. So that's kind of how I work with the like small yardages of feed sacks. And the last one here is so cute. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little antique shop and a little girl shopping in the antique shop. I just thought this was cute. I love antiques, and I will do similar treatment, but I thought it was super neat. So I went ahead and picked this guy up. That is it for this haul. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to see everything that I make out of these. I'm sure that will be in some of my next few videos, and by few I mean like a couple months from now, because let's be honest, I don't sew that fast. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.